Hey guys, Fred and Sheila McCoy, Hatfield McCoy Museum, Liberty, Kentucky. FredMcCoy.com. Sheila's behind the camera.
Hi guys, hope you're having a great evening.
Going to be a short video. Once again, we're just covering some newspaper articles or supposed newspaper articles. That's what I'm going to start calling them from now on. All this new stuff that you're seeing coming out on these Facebook pages. You know, the only reason I look at it so we can report to you, because I was telling Sheila the other day we're getting ready to go on vacation, and when we're traveling we can still do videos because all we got to do is log on to one of these sites, these yard sale, or not yard sale, but Facebook. Hatfield McCoy sites, and there'll be something there to do a video on. So you guys can look at that stuff and believe it if you want to. A lot of it at this point I'm seeing on there is just fabricated. They're just making it up as they go to see what people will believe it, and they believe it because I see where these people says great history. Wow. Thanks, keep it coming, and so forth. And I'm thinking, wow, pretty easily influenced there with no proof or no anything like that. You know, I saw the other day where a new site had started, and it's calling itself the Historical Site. And you have to join, you have to be a member, and it started by a West Virginia Hatfield sympathizer or related. So you can imagine what's going to be on that, because I couldn't join.
Yeah.
So they don't want anybody on there that's going to report on what's maybe on that page. Why is that? If it's history, and it's not a historical society, which, to be honest with you, the historical societies are that's about what they consist of. I'm getting up over here. But that is the truth. Just because somebody's, even if it's a legitimate so-called historical society, don't believe everything they say or tell you, or you read on these boards, because
do your own research.
Do your own research, because these are not correct. And that's what we're trying to do, is just open your eyes to the fact. Do your research.
Yeah.
Some of them are correct, but there's more that aren't than are.
Wow.
And they started this page called Historical Society, Hatfield McCoy Historical Society, like it's a legitimate historical site. Now, all this is a yard sale page that somebody started up, and you have to join it. You have to be approved to join to see what's on there. So
a yard sale page, or just you said a yard sale page?
Yeah, it's like a yard sale page.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's not a yard sale. It's a Hatfield McCoy site, but it's a Facebook page.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Same way you would do as a yard sale or.
Gotcha. Now, sorry, I just misunderstood.
Well, even us, we've got a Hatfield McCoy Facebook page. Don't have but very few members.
Yeah.
We don't even put nothing on there. It's just really a place for them to go to. If they want to, if they agree with us or some of the stories we cover and stuff, it gives them something to view. Anyway, moving on.
Stuff on there.
January 31st, Colonel Mayhorn, whom the Governor Wilson had sent. Now remember, Governor Wilson was friends with Devil Anse Hatfield. He was friends. In fact, Devil Anse Hatfield named his son Willis after
the governor.
The governor, yeah. And that was, Willis was born in 1888. The same year, February, I believe, they killed two more Randall McCoy's children in January of 88.
Calvin and Alpha.
Just a month or two later, Devil Anse Hatfield had another son born, him and Levice, and they named him Willis Wilson Hatfield. And he was after the West Virginia governor, the 7th governor of West Virginia. Again, now you got to understand, the 7th governor. See, West Virginia wasn't started till 1863 during the Civil War, when Virginia split off, and they created West Virginia from Virginia. So he's only the 7th governor of West Virginia at the time. But anyway, he sent this guy in there, this Mayhorn, somewhat like Kentucky governor did. Samuel Buckner sent Sam Hill to Pike County and said, go up there and see what's going on. And that's where the old saying come about, what in the Sam Hill's going on here? And that was General Sam Hill. And West Virginia governor, sometime later on after Buckner done that, Willis Wilson said, hey, I better have an investigation here. I better have something to back up what I'm saying here so I can cover for Devil Anse. So he sent this Mayhorn guy into West Virginia. Mayhorn says he was sent to Logan County a week ago to inquire into the report upon now famous Hatfield McCoy Vendetta. Made his report to Governor Wilison today, and it is as follows. I visited all the Hatfields and found them to be good, law-abiding citizens who have the respect and confidence of everyone in the neighborhood. Now, if you'll remember, T.C. Crawford in 1888 went to see Devil Anse Hatfield, Cap, Good Elias. He interviewed all of them. And he came away with this take that they were hillbillies and savages. That was T.C. Crawford's take. T.C. Crawford said he couldn't even get the neighbors to give him a story, correct?
Yeah.
He went to the neighbors and asked them, what do you think about Devil Anse? What do you think about Cap? What do you think about it? They didn't want to talk. They didn't want to
get involved.
Wouldn't that be the perfect place if you really, really, really love your neighbors and you think the world of the West Virginia Hatfields, the Devil Anse Hatfield family at the time? You think the world of them? Wouldn't that be the perfect place for those neighbors to say, hey, those are great people. That Devil Anse Hatfield's a fine man. They didn't do that. They didn't talk to TC. They didn't want nothing to, they had nothing good to say. You know the old saying, if you ain't got something good to say, don't say nothing at all. Maybe I should pay attention to that about sometimes, but I can't at this point.
Maybe they were afraid.
They were afraid, of course. They had nothing good to say, and they knew if they said anything and it was bad, that they would retaliate. Guys, listen here. The neighbors, everyone had confidence and liked them. Really? We just covered a story over on the other side there a while ago where Cap Hatfield shot 3 more people in Mate 1, Mate Creek, at election, the Rutherford, and so forth. He just shot 3 more people. They're not McCoys. These were his neighbors. These were West Virginians. He's not over in Kentucky at another election ground. This was at his election over in West Virginia, and he shot 3 more people and killed them.
Wow.
That's his neighbors, but yet this man here, he writes and says they love him. They got the respect and confidence of everyone in the neighborhood.
Interesting.
That's what you call written in the history, because the evidence doesn't say that.
No.
And that while many have been committed, the whole surrounding county has been in a state of excitement and turmoil, bordering on a genuine young war. That peace has again been restored, and the belligerent parties have been disbanded. No further trouble is anticipated. The strangest part of the whole affair is that the Hatfields and McCoys are related. You know, that's the first time you usually get, you're going to hear a story in a minute when we talk about the Civil War again, another news story, and so forth. But they're correct here. The Hatfields and my great-grandmother and great-grandfather, Asa McCoy and Nancy Hatfield. That's my great-grandparents. You know, I seen a story the other day, a good story, a couple of little errors, but
overall, good.
It was a real good video on Uriah McCoy and Aunt Betty. You know, they covered Aunt Betty extensively and done great, but Uriah McCoy was also in the 45th. Uriah McCoy fought in the 45th with Randall McCoy and Devil Anse Hatfield. Uriah McCoy was also taken prisoner of war when Devil Anse Hatfield up and deserted. He and Randall McCoy was taken prisoner of war. Uriah McCoy, my great-great-grandfather, Aunt Betty's husband, was shot during that encounter. He got well. They gave him treatment, but he went to a prisoner of war camp. And so even though Aunt Betty was a hero and a legend, and I'm so glad they covered it correctly, because, you know, through the years there's been people that don't even know who their relation is. There was one person that tried to say that it was another Aunt Betty. It was a Blankenship. It was Alan's wife. No, it wasn't Alan's wife. Betty Blankenship was known as Alan's Betty. That's how they distinguished them. And Aunt Betty was actually Elizabeth Rutherford, the wife of Uriah McCoy. And they got that exactly right. They got the 2 graveyards exactly right. They got the White House with the cabin inside that had been moved. Good stories. I said mistake, but the only mistake that was made was they said that Daisy McCoy was the daughter of Uriah.
Uriah, I think.
And she was not the daughter of Uriah. She was actually the daughter of Thomas McCoy. Thomas was the son of Uriah. And then Daisy was the daughter of Thomas.
Right.
No big deal. But just for the history's sake, there it is. But they done an excellent job on the video. Hatfields Found, good law-abiding. The recent outbreak seems to have been caused by parties in Pike County, Kentucky, resurrecting old indictments against the Hatfields, which were found against them 5 years ago. The Pike County parties went to Frankfort and had rewards offered for the Hatfields. Now, guys, when you're indicted for a crime, the crime doesn't go away. When you're indicted, you're indicted. You're indicted till you die. You're indicted till you stand trial and you're not guilty. You're guilty. Charges are dismissed.
Okay.
But an indictment is an indictment.
It's there until
It's
one or
there.
the other. Okay.
These guys were indicted for killing the 3 McCoy boys, is what they're referring to. They tied 3 McCoy guys up, boys, young men,
Men and 1 and 15-year-old.
tied them up to trees and assassinated them. Now, brings me to a point here. Devil Anse was so loving of Ellison Hatfield, such a loving brother. He loved Ellison Hatfield. And he got so upset because they stabbed Ellison, which was a bully, and someplace he didn't need to be. He was at a Kentucky election. He lived in West Virginia. But Devil Anse got so upset because they shot him and knifed him
Yeah.
that he killed them 3 McCoy boys 2 or 3 days later.
Yeah.
He's so loving of his brothers and family. But yet he never sent nobody. He couldn't go himself because he had murder warrants on him. But he had all these people. They say he was a millionaire. Said he had 40 people working for him. He couldn't send one person to Pikeville to pick up the body of his nephew, Ellison Hatfield's son, bring him home and give him a decent burial. He couldn't send somebody to Frankfort at the prison where his brother Wall Hatfield, this is another brother. Surely he equally loved Wall Hatfield the way he did Ellison, but he couldn't send nobody to pick up his body to bring him home and give him a decent burial. No, this wasn't a loving brother. This was a troublemaker. This was a man who loved being in trouble. He loved showing his authority. He had little man syndrome. He was a small stature of a guy, and he was little man. Napoleon syndrome. Troublemaker, instigator. But anyway, he loved him so much that he killed for Ellison, one of his brothers, but he couldn't go retrieve his other brother's dead body that had actually stood on the line and helped him shoot 3 McCoys. Think about that. Let that set in. Now, back to the indictments. This guy here from the governor's office said everything was okay. It's been peaceful. But now they've put out rewards for these Hatfields in Kentucky, and they're trying to bring up old troubles again. Resurrecting old troubles. Resurrecting, they're trying to seek justice.
Yeah.
These 20 men on that list, 3 of which are McCoys. 20 people indicted for killing 3 McCoys, and 3 of them that's on the line were actually McCoys themselves.
Right.
They're cousins.
Right.
And they're trying to bring them to justice. But the West Virginia guy here says they're trying to resurrect old troubles by putting a reward out for the Hatfields.
Well, any parent who has lost a child, much less 3,
Yeah,
would want justice.
of course. And we've discussed that. And that's what Randall McCoy was about. As hard as it is to understand for some people, he wanted justice. He wanted to go through the justice system. He was a law-abiding citizen. Preacher Anse Hatfield, my great-great-grandfather on the Hatfield side, was actually an ordained minister and actually the one that baptized Sarah and Randall. And that's him and Polly up there. That's my great-great-grandparents. There's my great-grandmother beside of them, Anse Hatfield. There's my great-grandfather on the McCoy side, Asa McCoy. And then there's Aunt Betty up top and Uriah, the picture underneath him. We don't have a good picture.
Yeah.
And then there's my grandfather and grandmother there in the middle. And then my mother and father.
Yep.
And so once again, we're going through this. The Pike County parties of Frankfort, no requisition, they arrested. And they're saying that they come over to West Virginia and took the Hatfields back illegally. And the trouble began during the war. The Hatfields were in the Confederate Army and the McCoys were in the Union Army. Now this is Willing, supposedly, this is the Willing, whatever that is there, can you see it? Willing Daily Register, February the 1st, 1888, page 1.
Okay.
So if that's a true story, I'm not going to research it. I'm going to put it on there. We'll respond to it. Because some things I think people just put on these Facebook pages to see how many of you all out there will believe it. It's got to the point of where it's so silly, some of the things that they put, it has to be as a joke. You know, like Jimmy Wolford told us one time, we asked him, Jimmy, we was talking about his record. He was talking about 6 foot tall and 6'4" and all that. And I said, and this is on tape, and I said, Jimmy, did you know how tall Devil Anse Hatfield really was? He said, Fred, he was a little bitty fella.
Yep.
And I said, why did you say that for? He said, we done it as a joke. We was playing music and we just made the song up and we were saying it as a joke. We didn't know people was going to go out and actually put it in books or speak it. And that's what happened. It got spoke into history, sung into history, written into history.
Marketing.
And that's where and he said it's marketing. He said he knew that the Hatfields was going to be his marketing pool. That's who was going to buy his stuff.
Yeah.
They loved Devil Anse. They loved having a hero over in Logan County.
Yeah.
No matter what kind of hero it is, I guess. I guess sometimes it's better to have, you know, when I was a police officer, I worked domestics or been with protective child services where children had been spanked or something. And you know, there's children out there.
Okay.
Battery kicked off, but we're almost done.
Yeah,
but I've worked cases where children, as sad as this is, imagine this. There's children that out there that get whipped and they're happy to be whipped. As long as they're getting whipped and punished by their parent, they're getting attention. Now, is that sad? That may be hard for some people to believe, but that's actually really in real life.
Yeah,
where a child would rather get beat, not just a spanking like we got as children, but beat, or cigarette burns, or things like that, that at least when they're getting that, they feel like they're being loved, they feel like that they're getting attention, because that's the only attention they get is when they're being mistreated. That's sad, but that's the way, and that's the way some of these things that I read on Facebook, on these pages, I'm thinking they gotta be just jerking these people around. They gotta just be playing to write some of the stories that they write. But anyway, it is what it is. It gives us something to write about, talk about, and keep them coming. They can keep on writing it, and we'll keep on reporting on it, and then we'll let people be the judge as to who they want to believe.
That's right.
Guys, it's Fred and Sheila McCoy. We are at the Hatfield McCoy Museum.
Hi guys, hope you're having a great evening. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you, guys.